Hello guys, how's you doing? Today I am explaining the Sergent's Dragon Chapter 11. So the chapter begins and Green is basically just laying down cover fire at this crazy mage while desperately dragging Blue's unconscious body away. But this lady? Yeah, she's definitely not about to let these little goblins just walk out of there. She's taunting them, telling them to entertain her more, and then she unleashes this massive wind arrow right at them. And look, hear me out chat, I can totally fix her. Anyway, Green was completely caught off guard. He couldn't block the attack in time, and both of them just eat the hit, totally collapsing onto the floor. But right at that second, the mage catches this really bright flash coming from the doorway. She instantly throws up a shield to block it, but man, it only just manages to deflect the shot. It barely, and I mean misses her head. Then Jian steps into the room. He points his pistol right at her and asks if she's the leader. The funny thing is though, to this woman, it literally just sounds like he's saying orc orc over and over again like some kind of Pokemon. That absolutely pisses her off, so she just straight up orders her owlbear to delete them. Green tries to warn Jian because this absolutely giant monster is suddenly looming right behind him, and as soon as Jian turns around, he's face to face with this thing. It literally looks like a cross between an owl, a bear, and a freaking triceratops. Like, what is actually happening here? The monster just lets out this crazy scream before bringing its massive fist down right where Jian was standing just a second ago. Jian doesn't even hesitate, he just starts emptying his clip into it, but the owlbear just charges him, totally unfazed by the bullets. Jian is just stunned. He barely manages to dodge the beast's charge. He realizes pretty quick that his normal attacks just aren't doing anything. So, he swiftly reloads and makes a split-second decision to just keep this thing busy, at least until Green and Blue can make a break for it. He changes his aim and starts targeting the beast's joints, which actually works. It screams in agony and drops down to the ground. Jian immediately whips around to Green and tells him to grab Blue and just run. He tells them not to come back, making it totally clear that this is a direct order. Green listens right away and takes off, which leaves Jian completely alone to fight both the Psycho Mage and this massive monster. So then the mage starts monologuing. She says that the Roadkeepers actually need villains for their little business to work, and that's exactly the role monsters like Jian are supposed to play. They're just supposed to live as their tools. But now, this mere tool is causing a massive ruckus in her personal hideout. So she basically threatens to cut off all his limbs and keep him alive just to use him as like a literal food waste disposal. She starts firing these rapid wind arrows at him. Jian just can't react fast enough, but Dookie, who is absolutely clutch by the way, instantly turns into this makeshift bulletproof vest to protect Jian's head. The attack ends up only grazing his legs, but it still does some serious damage. Honestly though, Jian and Dookie are pretty much incapacitated at this point, and the owlbear is already moving in, swinging its giant fist down to finish him off. But right at the last possible second, there's this sudden commotion coming from a cage hanging up on the ceiling, and it completely stops the monster in its tracks. The owlbear whips its head around to look at the cage, but the mage just starts viciously whipping the monster. She's yelling at the creature to shut up, and it starts making these awful, terrified noises. The owlbear is just groaning at the mage, and Jian is sitting there trying to figure out what the heck is going on. That's when he notices it. The owlbear is actually a female, and he puts two and two together. The thing in the cage has to be her cub. He looks up at the lock on the cage, and it suddenly clicks. He starts frantically searching for that specific key the dwarf gave him earlier. He finally gets what the dwarf meant when he said he'd know exactly where to use it. The problem is, looking at how busted up he is, Jian has absolutely no idea how he's supposed to even reach the cage. But right then, the little gecko climbs right up onto Jian's chest. Seeing it gives him this crazy idea, kind of flashing back to his past self. He decides to just put all his trust in the gecko. He tells it to go for it and literally just hurls the little guy straight at the cage. The gecko immediately starts zooming and circling around the cage, which completely confuses the mage. She starts frantically firing her magic at it, but the gecko is just moving way too fast, masterfully dodging every single attack. It flies right back to the cage and perfectly inserts the key into the lock. Suddenly, all this mana starts flowing and the key just starts spinning on its own. Within seconds, the lock and the entire cage just completely shatter, finally releasing the cubs. The two cubs don't even hesitate. They immediately zero in on the mage. It completely catches her off guard, and they tackle her right off the pillar she was standing on. She hits the floor super hard. She's screaming at the cubs to get away from her, but they are latching on for dear life. So, being the awful person she is, she starts hitting the babies with her whip just to get them off. The mama owlbear sees this and instantly starts screaming, which finally gets the mage's attention. The mage starts panicking. She's yelling at the owlbear to stop, and then she actually grabs hold of one of the cubs and starts whipping the ground right next to it as a warning. She is ridiculously mad at these monsters now, yelling that they've completely lost their minds today. She looks back at the beast and orders it to finish off Jian right then and there, telling it to literally stomp his head in. Jian sees the massive monster coming towards him again, so he braces himself and pulls out his bone knife, getting ready for the absolute worst. But right before it can attack, this voice just rings out through the entire chamber, commanding the wind spirits to help her destroy her enemies. Jian is completely shocked because Selia has just entered the chamber and is now standing right in front of him. The mage can't even believe what she's seeing, demanding to know who Selia is. She immediately starts casting another wind arrow, but Selia, she literally just scoffs at her. She stands perfectly still, looking like she's gonna take the attack head on. But here's the crazy part. The wind in this place already belongs to Selia. She effortlessly takes control of the mage's wind arrow and just absorbs it, compressing all that energy into one single attack. Then, Selia jumps high towards the ceiling and violently hurls the attack right back at the mage. The force of it sends the woman spinning blindly through the air until she slams brutally into the stone walls. Both Jian and the owlbear are just standing there in shock. Selia gracefully lands back on her feet, and Green finally pops back up, declaring that they officially won. Selia walks over and extends her hand down to Jian, telling him not to get the wrong idea or whatever she claims. She only showed up because she absolutely couldn't stand owing a debt to an orc. Jian just lets out this exhausted, relieved smile. He takes her hand and tells her that, yeah, her debt is definitely paid in full. If you enjoyed this recap, definitely check out this video next. Also, I've been thinking about trying out some new content on the channel. Drop a comment below and let me know if I should keep making manhwa recaps, or if you'd like to see me jump into gaming, Pokemon playthroughs, or something completely different. I really want to hear what you guys think.